Prabhuji, I'll just try. Nobody wants to.
Yes, Mother. Yes.
Yeah, okay. So 40th Anucheda, Jiva Goswami quotes from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, Brahmaji's prayer. Oh Master, you take the seat in that particular heart which has become worthy because of developing love for you. Tvam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita Rita Saroja. So the path by which you can be seen is by hearing the Shastras, the Vedas. Shruta Ikshito Patho Nanu Natha Pumsan. So one has to meditate the form which is described in the Shastras. Although Lord has many forms, or Lord's form contains many forms, but the form manifests in the form with that particular devotee according to his liking, taste, mood of that particular devotee. It will not manifest the form which is not appealing to that devotee. So in that, in order to substantiate, the another verse was quoted by Kardama Muni, that Arupina, you had discussed that. Then yourself spoke about how the most beautiful deity is the one whom we perform service to. Then Brantidev's story was discussed, that how the four of them, that is Brahmana who came Shudra, dog, Chandalas, they were created by Lord's Maya in order to test the fortitude, perseverance of the king. And they are not his personal form. They cannot be called worshipable. The word Kutsikta Rupam was just said. And these forms are actually made up of illusory forms. So this the transcendental form cannot be referred to the inferior forms. Prakrita Rupa Rahitasya. Yourself even mentioned about this Virata Rupa. It is not the ultimate goal of attainment. When purified, when a person worships this Virata Rupa, and when he's purified, he will appreciate the four-armed Vishnu and two-handed form Krishna. Then these terms zoomorphism, anthropomorphism was also explained, that you cannot just meditate on whatever your mind projects. Then returning to the verse 10, 14.21, Koveti Bhuman, where does the Lord, that is Kvavak, where does the Lord appear? The Lord appears in the heart that is melted by love for him. Kathamba, how does the Lord appear? Related to the second Vibhakti word, which is Bhagwan, which is Achinta Shakti, which has the Achinta Shakti, is the inconceivable form of the Lord. Appearance is not possible by any means other than his Achintya Shakti. Therefore, then how does the Lord appear? By his Achintya Shakti. Then yourself quoted about Bhagavad Gita 4.6. I'm unborn, although I'm unborn, I still appear by my Achintya Shakti in every millennium in my original transcendental form. So this is the second question. The third is Kativa. It refers to Tatha He Paramatman. How many avatars of the Lord are there? So Avtarin, you spoke about Paratman, Avtarin. You are the source of all avatars. Each of these avatars have unlimited Shaktis, and you are the source of all avatars. Therefore, you also have unlimited opulence. So it is impossible for the mind speech to ascertain the extent of the Lord's opulence. It is also impossible to count the avatars. To what extent the Lord will extend or expand his pastime, it is impossible to fathom. To what extent the Lord will manifest his Yogamaya potency. So this word Paratma is used because Lord has unlimited avatara. The fourth question was Kada, related to Sambodhan Vibhakti Yogeshwara. Yogeshwara means you are the controller of internal energy, which is responsible for accommodating various form in one original form. Ekasmin neva rupe nana rupa yojana lakshanaya. So Yogamaya, he actually accommodates all the forms, and you are the controller of Yogamaya. You control through that energy. So just as uncountable forms exists within your original form, and so the various plenary portions also exist in you. So when Lord appears, Kada, whenever a particular devotee's devotion matures to the stage of prema towards the form of the Lord, at that time, the Lord manifests that form to the devotee, and all the forms are present because all the forms are present in the Lord. So then after that, the conclusion, the Brahma concludes the topic 10.14.22. Therefore, all these various forms and universes are contained within the form of Sri Krishna. This entire universe, which is asat, insubstantial, like a dream, which covers consciousness, full of abundant and endless misery, and which arises out of your Maya potencies. So then Sridhar Swami also speaks about, since your form was or is since your form is original, cause of all material and transcendental object. Your form is the cause of all these things. Therefore, this entire universe consequently appears within you, Tvai, who is unlimitless and whose body is identical with the body, eternal bliss and consciousness. So how does the universe appear? Universe appears as real, and also it's amazing because it's repeatedly appearing and disappearing, manifesting and unmanifesting, creating and destroying. So just as how at times some products arise from earth like pot and they dissolve into the earth, similarly, the universe, although arising, appears and disappears again and again. It all exists in him alone, in whom it appears and in whom it all disappears. So question may arise. So many objects appears from the earth and dissolves into the earth. So the objects undergo transformation. So does the Lord also undergo transformation? So answer is na iti aha. By this achintya shakti, Lord does not undergo transformation. And it is also described in the Shastras. And it's clearly described in the Shastras that when the universe undergoes transformation, the Lord does not undergo transformation. It is just an act of creation. Energies are transformed, and the Lord is not transformed. Then Brahma Sutra, you spoke about the universe. The universe is likened to the dream because the dream appears and disappears repeatedly. It is a dream, not a product of imagination, the way the Advaitadis say that this world is mithya, false. Because here it says that the world is like a dream, but it is not false because the universe has different characteristics. The universe is a product of avidya, ignorant feature of Maya, asta gishanam. Universe covers this knowledge of Paramatma from the Jiva. It covers the living entity, awareness from the supreme goal. So two things, universe is a product of avidya, universe is like a dream as it manifests and unmanifests rapidly. This universe is a place of great misery because then any semblance of happiness in reality is simply misery alone. So as this universe is coming from Maya potency, it is not completely unreal and it is coming from the avidya portion of Maya potency. So this universe, it appears to be real and it covers the real goal of living entity and produces only misery. And without the Lord's presence, the universe is completely unreal like the horns of the rabbit. Then yourself spoke about how the bewildered soul, how does he perceive the universe? There, Upalakshanam, where you gave the example of the rise in the terrace thing. And for the bewildered soul, the universe appears as real and imperishable. And also the universe, that is, you use this word achetan vastu, which appears as a source of knowledge. Because elements are composed of Mahat Tattva, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, how the scientists are sending the satellites to the other planet. To the bewildered people, this universe appears to be source of happiness. Dukhalayam ashashvatam. To the bewildered, this universe appears to be temporary. To the bewildered, the universe which is temporary, it appears to be eternal. Therefore, the universe is limited and pervaded by the form of the Lord. But Bhagwan's form, by the virtue of the power of his internal potency, is both limited and unlimited simultaneously. This is the essence, this is the import of this section. By the Achintya Shakti, the miserable material world appears to be Sukhalayam. By Achintya Shakti, the Achetan Vastu appears to be likened the source of knowledge. Okay.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji. Last time we went through the 41st anuccheda. I'll go through some points from the purport, very beautiful, elaborate purport, and then we'll go to 42nd. This is in the 41st Anucheda. This
Sorry,
series.
Prabhuji. Yourself mentioned that you will be elaborating on the Advaitavada section.
That we'll do it today.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
So in the 41st Anucheda, Jiva Goswami is concluding the series of verses which he took from the Brahmaji's prayers. So we can see the verse on the screen. Tasmadidam jagadashesham asat swarupam swapnabhamasta dishanam purudukka dukkam tvayeva nitya sukha bodatanavanante mayat udyadapiyat sadivava bhati. 10.14.22. Tasmat, therefore, idam, this universe, this entire universe, ashesham jagat, therefore, this entire universe, which is asat swarupam, which is insubstantial, swapnabam, like a dream, asta dishanam, which covers consciousness, purudukka dukkam, which is full of abundant and endless misery. So we can see three characteristics of the universe are mentioned. Asat swarupam, asta dishanam, puru dukkha dukkam. Asat swarupam swapnabam, insubstantial like a dream. Asta dishanam, which covers the consciousness. Puru dukkha dukkam, which is full of abundant and endless misery. Puru dukkha dukkam. Not simply misery, but puru dukkha dukkam, abundant and endless misery. And this universe, Mayata Udyadapi. Mayata Udyadapi means this universe arises out of the Maya potency of the Lord. And this universe, Sat Iva Avabhati. Sat Iva Avabhati means it appears as Sat, it appears as real. Actually, it is Asat Swarupam, but Sat Iva Avabhati, it appears as real. How does it appear as real? What is the reason for it? Tvayi eva, because it is situated in you. And what is so special about the Lord Bhagavan? Because of that, the insubstantial universe appears like a real. The characteristics of the Lord are described in this phrase: Nitya Sukha Bodha Tana Vanante. Anante, who is limitless. Tanu means possesses a body. Tanu means a body. The Lord is limitless and has a body which is Nitya, eternal. Sukha, which is full of bliss. And Bodha, and full of consciousness. Because the universe is situated in the Supreme Lord and it is arising out of the Maya potency of the Lord, this universe appears as real, whereas in reality, this universe is Asat Swarupam, Asta Dishanam, and Purudukka Dukkam. So that is the meaning of this shloka. So I'll go through the commentaries. So in this Anucheda, Jiva Goswami is concluding the topic of the simultaneous all-pervasiveness and the apparent limitedness of Krishna's body based on the Brahma's prayers. So Jiva Goswami explained that because Bhagavan has Achintya Shakti, so although his body is one, but at the same time that one body contains innumerable forms. Now in this Anucheda, in this verse, in the last verse, he explains that because of this Achintya Shakti, this endlessly mutable material world has the appearance of being eternal. And therefore, he starts this verse by saying, Tasmat idam jagadadesham, jagadashesham. So three qualities of the universe are mentioned. Asat Swarupam, that means temporary by nature, ephemeral by nature, Asta Dishanam, devoid of consciousness, and Purudukka Dukka, replete with misery. But exactly opposite to these three words are the characteristics of the Bhagavan's body. So opposite to the word Asat Swarupa is the Nitya. Bhagavan is eternal. Bhagavan's body is eternal. Opposite to the word Astadishana is the Bhagavan's body, which is of the nature Bodha, consciousness. Opposite to the word of Purudukka Dukkam, Bhagavan's body has the characteristics of Sukha, full of bliss. So we can compare Nitya Sukha Bodha Tana Vanante with those three words Asat Swarupam, Astadishanam, and Purudukka Dukkam. So one may ask the question, how is it possible? Because usually the effect depends on the cause. The universe emanates from the Lord. The Lord is having these characteristics, Nitya Sukha Bodha, but universe is having opposite characteristics. How is it possible? Because Bhagavan is the efficient cause and the material cause of the universe. So how can he produce something which is of different characteristics? If the Lord has the nature of Sachitananda, how can the universe be of the nature of Asat, Achit and Nirananda? And moreover, when we speak of any material cause, the raw materials undergo some kind of transformation in order to produce something. So is this also the case? When the Lord produces this universe, does he also undergo some transformation? Like that, one may get another question. So Brahma replies, oh, that is not the case. Because of the Krishna's Achintya Shakti, Mayata Udyata. Because of the Krishna's Achintya Shakti, although the material world emanates from the Lord and it exists in the Lord and dissolves in the Lord, but the characteristics of the material world are completely different from his. So that's why it's like for example, how the material world emanates from the Lord, but the Lord does not undergo transformation. For that, we can see an example in this world, a touchstone. A touchstone can turn iron into gold, but touchstone does not undergo any transformation. Or a kalpa vriksha tree can grant anything a person desires, but without undergoing any transformation. Or without using anything external to itself. Similarly, Bhagavan possesses inconceivable power. He can perform acts which are impossible. He does not undergo transformation. At the same time, from his energies, the material world is created, maintained, and destroyed. So the Bhagavan's Maya Shakti, it performs another wonderful feat. What is that wonderful feat? You see in this verse, Sad Iva Ababati, last phrase. The Maya potency makes the temporary material world, Asat Swarupam, appear to be, it makes it appear to be eternal, Sat Iva Ababati, to the foolish people. Because the foolish people accept the temporary material body as permanent. Although they are constantly being reminded about the death. Maharaj Yudhishthir, when he was asked in the Yaksha Prashna, what is the most wonderful thing in this world? Maharaj Yudhishthir said that Ahani Ahani Bhutani Gachantiha Yamalayam. Although the living entity sees the death constantly, but one thinks that one is going to live eternally. So Jiva Goswami says the word Sad Iva Avabhati, this immaterial universe appears as eternal or real, it also, by upalakshana, it extends to the other two attributes of the material world. The material world is asta dishanam, it covers one's consciousness, but the Maya potency makes the material world appear as if it is a source of knowledge. And the material world is puru dukkha dukkham, but the Maya potency makes the material world appear as if it is a source of pleasure. So actually, so people mistake the material world to be blissful. So there is no actual absolute happiness in the material world. Happiness is simply a mental concept which varies from person to person. And the happiness varies from person to person and from one stage of life to another stage of life and from one day to another day. And within a day also, from morning to night, the happiness varies. For example, a cultured person, when he sees a food which is relished by the vultures, he will feel like vomiting. But the same food is actually is relished by the vultures. Even among the human beings, a rich person may find inedible what is considered to be like a banquet to to the impoverished person. Impoverished person may relish in some roadside dhaba, but for a rich person, he can't tolerate that. He can't enter that. So one man's food is like another man's poison. How the happiness is a very relative concept. And even in our own life, what we relished in our childhood, we may no longer relish in our later age. The childhood, somebody was playing a game with some, by collecting some cigarette packets, certain cards. He takes pleasure in maybe collecting stamps, or one takes pleasure in buying, playing some trade games with some fake money. But the same thing we don't relish in our later age. And also, also within a particular day also, our moods change from morning to evening. So what we relish at the time of breakfast may appear distasteful at the time of supper. Or within a particular meal, what we relish at the beginning of the meal may appear distasteful by the end. Beginning of the meal, you may eat some chapati sabji or sambar, but by the end of the meal, you may not find that same taste in that same thing. So you can see what we see is that how the happiness is a very relative concept. So the so-called happiness of material life, even if it is real, it is temporary. And moreover, this apparent pleasure does not lie within the sense objects. The happiness is not there in the sense objects, but the happiness lies within the mind. So therefore, we also say that beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. We don't say beauty is in the actual person, but it's in the eyes of the beholder. Similarly, happiness lies in the mind. Happiness does not lie in the sense object. So there is a Niti Shastra verse which actually confirms this. Eka eva padarthastu trida bhavati vikshitaha kunapam kamini mamsam kamibi shvabir yogibihi. Eka eva padartha, there is only one object, but when it is viewed by three different individuals, appears in three different ways. So when a yogi sees a beautiful young woman, he sees her body to be made of stool, urine, pus, like that. A young man sees the same young lady as the most desirable object of pleasure. And the dog sees her as a delicious piece of meat. So what we can see is that how the happiness lies in the mind, not in the sense object. So, but it is very difficult to discern where the happiness lies. So the simple fact is that there is no happiness in inert, ignorant, temporary and miserable material objects. So in the Vishnu Purana, there is a beautiful shloka, 3 shlokas, which says that Vastvekam eva dukkaya sukha yershyagamaya cha kopaya cha yatastasmat astu vastvatmakam kutah tadeva pritaye bhutva punardukkhaya jayate tadeva kopaya yatah prasadaya cha jayate tasmat dukkatmakam nasti nacha kinchit sukatmakam. The same object induces misery, happiness, envy, and anger in different people. How can one categorically determine the nature of an object? So, one particular object sometimes even invokes love, pain, anger, and happiness in the same person. So, therefore, the material objects, they do not have the capacity to grant happiness or inflict pain. So therefore, the verse says that tas manasaha parinamoyam sukha dukkadi lakshanaha. So therefore, feelings of happiness are nothing but simply mental states. Manasaha parinamoyam sukha dukkadi lakshanaha. So therefore, Patanjali's Yoga Sutra says that parinama tapa samskara dukkair gunavritti virodacha dukkam eva sarvam vivekinaha. So for a discriminating person, everything is misery. So that when we talk about a mental state, in Sanskrit it is called as a vritti. So when we go through different experiences in our different lifetimes, all those experiences get stored in the mind in the form of a vritti. And when we identify with the mind and the and the different vrittis of the mind, different impressions of the mind, different mental states of the mind, then we feel ourselves to be happy or miserable based on our identification with the mental vrittis. So Krishna says that Adyantavanta Kaunteya Nateshu Ramate Buddha. The sense objects are the source of misery. They have both beginning and end. So when we talk about yes, sir.
Well, Prabhuji, I know I'm talking about very basic point, but I'm touching a very important point of this discussion. So, are we saying that in the transcendental world or in the spiritual world, there is there is nothing existing in material form?
It's nothing existing in
Material form. There's no material. There is no hardware. There is no hard physical objects in the transcendental world. Is that what we are saying?
Yeah, in the transcendental world, everything is there in a spiritual form. Yes.
Right, right. Okay, okay.
So right now, what we are discussing is that how the material world has its 3 characteristics: asat swarupam, astadishanam, and purudukka dukkam. But the Maya potency makes the material world appear as if it is eternal, source of knowledge, and full of bliss.
Right.
So previously we discussed the inconceivable potency of the Lord in terms of how the Lord although he is in one place, he is all pervading. Although he is limited, at the same time he is unlimited. But here another aspect of the Maya potency, Ajitya Shakti, is that it makes the material world appear as if it is the eternal source of knowledge and full of bliss. So what we are discussing here, how the happiness in the material world is not in the object, but is in the mental state.
Understand. Right. Well, that's a wonderful discovery for me. I mean, it's a basic point, but still, it takes some very. I mean, this is a wonderful question.
So further it is said that, see, based on a person's karma, what does the karma do? The karma, based on the person's karma, the opportunities to contact different material objects or to get disconnected from the material objects, these opportunities result from the karma. So the karma never impels us to suffer or enjoy. Every person has a different stockpile of karma. The karma never impels a person to suffer or enjoy. Karma only creates certain situations where we are separated from certain desirable objects or where we are united with certain objects. It simply presents a particular value-free situation. But it is up to us how we are going to interpret the situation. So if a person is a slave to his senses, then a person, he is bound to suffer or enjoy a particular situation according to the mental vrittis which are stored in his mind based on the past impressions. But if a person has developed a jnana chakshu, then one will not be affected by the external situation. Even though one may be in contact with a certain desirable sense object, by that he does not experience pleasure. Even though he is separated from a desirable object, by that he does not experience misery because of the jnana chakshu. So therefore Krishna says in the second chapter, when he speaks about that sthita prajna, at the end he says, buddhi yukto jagatiha ube sukruta dushkrute. Buddhi yukto, 2.50. Endowed with the wisdom of yoga, buddhi yukto, one abandons both sukrute and the dushkrute, good and evil, even in this life. Or Krishna says that apichedasi papebhya sarvebhya papakrittamah sarvam jnana plavena or no yataidamsi samiddugnir vasmasat kurute arjuna jnanagni sarvakarmani vasmasat kurute tata. Just like a blazing fire reduces the firewood to ashes, similarly the fire of knowledge, jnana chakshu, reduces all the karma to ashes. A person who has a jnana chakshu, he does not interpret the contact of the senses of the sense objects as a happy situation or disconnect the sense object as a miserable situation. But on the other hand, a mugdha or a bewildered person, that means who has not developed a jnana chakshu, he actually interprets in a different way. He sees a particular situation as a happy or miserable. So, and so this is the, so therefore, this verse says that the Maya potency makes the material world, which is having the quality of asat swarupam, astadishanam and purudukka dukkam, but it makes this material world appear as if it is a sadiva avabhati, or it is a source of knowledge and it is a source of bliss. And then there's one more word in the first line, Jagat Ashesham Asat Swarupam Swapnabam. Swapnabam, that means the material world is compared to be a dream. So with this comparison, some of the philosophers, especially in the Advaitavada theory, they say the material world is a dream. That means it is illusory. Material world is unreal. So they say that this material world, the dream of the material world, has no factual existence because nobody experiences a dream while awake. So similarly, the material world is mithya. It is no longer experienced upon the awakening to realization. But Brahmaji does not accept this view that the material world is unreal. He does not consider the material world to be imaginary. So the word in this verse, asat swarupam, asat does not mean mithya. But asat in this word, asat swarupam, in this verse, the asat swarupam means asat means a transient. That means material world is actually temporary. So,
So Prabhuji, I'm just trying to understand that say I'm thinking about the example of fire. Now fire doesn't think if it's cooking food or burning a body or it's part of sun. So when our mental state reaches that kind of state, somewhat transcendental, we just act as per our duty and we don't really get affected with those feelings, emotions, up and downs and all. But this state doesn't remain permanent. At a point in time, we again sometimes fall down. Sometimes we come down to some level. And is this also the nature of Maya energy, or is it something that uh, uh, we ourselves get us into? Is it Maya acting on us, or we are actually uh, get so attached to Maya that we don't want to go away from it?
yeah, we go through in the period of anartha nivritti. Sometimes we slip actually. We go through this up and down phase actually. So sometimes we remain unaffected, but other times we get carried away. We get affected by the different external situations, and that happens because we are in the process of purification. We are in the process of purification. So it's because of essentially, our free will is there, and we have been since time immemorial. Just like when you switch off the fan, it does not the movement of the fan does not stop immediately. It takes some time for the fan to stop. So since time immemorial, different mental impressions have been stored, and we have been identifying with those mental impressions. So and then when we start practicing bhakti, or a person will start practicing jnana marga or something. So then we stop those impressions. We switch off that fan. But then in this period of unsteady bhakti, there is definitely the oscillating phases there. But when we remain steady, although we go through these ups and downs, but still when we remain steady in our practice of bhakti, we do get affected. We understand, but in due course of time, we will come to the stage of nishtha, a strong faith. So, so therefore, we have to be utsahat, nishchayat, dhairyat, enthusiastic, have faith and have patience.
It's quite helpful, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So here, Brahmaji compares the material world to a dream. He does not mean that the material world is false or non-existent. So now at this point, I'll discuss something about the dream actually. So the dream means it is not something false, but the dream is another kind of reality only. dream is not some illusory thing, it is another kind of reality. So Baldev Vidyabhushan, in his Govinda Bhashya commentary to the Vedanta Sutra, he states that objects in a dream, they do not have the same characteristics as the objects in the waking state. So objects seen in the dream are memories of the objects previously experienced while we were awake. And objects in the dream may change instantly, while the objects seen in the waking state, they have extended continuity. So objects in a dream, they are not actually illusory objects, but they are another kind of real objects. So according to Vyasadeva, the Supreme Lord actually generates the objects in the dream state. And objects in a dream state, they are real, but they differ in the sense that the Lord creates those objects in the dream for a temporary purpose, for a particular living entity. So the general external world is created for all the living entities, for the common purpose of all the living entities, and for a sustained period. So one particular universe is there for a certain period of, say, 100 years of Brahma. For a sustained period it is there, and for all the living entities it is created. But whereas the objects in the dream are created for a temporary purpose and for a particular living entity. So the dream state, so in the Vedanta Sutra it is said that Sandhye Srishti Raghahi. The dream state is also a creation of the Lord, because that is how the scripture declares the dream as that. Dream state is also a creation of the Lord. So the Sandhya means the dreams. Sandhyam Tritayam Swapnasthanam. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says that. So according to Baldev Vidyabhushan, he gives a quotation from the Kena Upanishad. When a sober person realizes that the objects he perceives while awake or asleep are due to the Paramatma, then he grieves no more. And dreams are real, and they are creations of the Lord's Maya potency. Mahantam vibhum atmanam matva dhiro na shochati. So the dreams are the creations of the Lord's Maya potency. So because it's a creation of the Lord's Maya potency, therefore it cannot be called as a mithya. Because this is the first reason why the dreams are considered real. Because it is created by the Lord, therefore it cannot be considered as something illusory or unreal. And another reason why the dreams are considered to be real is that many times the dreams, they may indicate pending events which are going, which will come in the near future. They may indicate certain pending events in reference to the waking state. For example, when Krishna and Balram came to Mathura, so Kamsa was having sleepless night, he was having dreams. And in his dreams, he detected bad omens. And also, when he was awake and the dream, he was seeing some bad omens. And those bad omens, they were indicative of his imminent death. Like he saw that he was being embraced by ghosts. He saw that he was riding a donkey and drinking poison. And he also saw that a naked man smeared with oil was passing by, wearing a garland of Nalada flowers. So these things were indicating that he is his death is going to come nearby soon. So therefore, dreams are real. The second reason is that because the dreams they indicate pending events which are going to come in the near future. And then he says, if the dreams were unreal, so if the dreams were unreal, they could not indicate a real incident which is going to come. For example, a impending death. So in the waking state, a person suffers or enjoys the result of one's past karma. So similarly, in the dream also, a person suffers and enjoys the result of one's past karma. So there is a beautiful shloka in the Manusmriti. This is a very beautiful shloka which actually talks about that. When we talk about law of karma, this shloka can be quoted. What is the shloka? Manasam manasaivayam upabhungte shubhashubham vacha kritam karma kayena chaivacha kayikam. So embodied beings experience the reactions of positive and negative mental acts through the mind. And they experience the reactions of the positive and negative physical acts through the body. And they experience the result of positive and negative vocal acts through the organ of speech. So action is performed through body, mind, and word. So whatever positive and negative acts he has performed with one's body, mind, and speech, he will experience the reaction through another person's speech or through another person's body and through one's own mind. One will experience the reaction. So therefore, so just like when a person gets a positive dreams, that is the result of one's good karma. And negative dreams, disturbing dreams are the result of the bad karma. So oftentimes the Lord allocates the result of karma. The result of karma is allocated during our waking state as well as in our dream state. Certain portion of our karma are allocated for us to experience during our waking state. And certain portion of our karma is allocated for us to experience during our dream state. So every physical action is usually preceded by a mental action. Jnana, Icha, Kriti. Before the physical action comes the Icha and the Jnana, the mental action is there. So mental karma is more extensive and needs to be worked out in the dreams as a supplement to the waking state. And so therefore, during the sleep as well as during the waking state, a person experiences the reactions of one's mental karma. And sometimes in the dream, it's not that a person will experience a particular sequence of action in a particular sequential order. It may happen in a little, not in a sequential, it may not happen in a sequential order. Because in the dream, sometimes we may get dreams based on what we experience in this life. Sometimes we may get dreams based on what we experience in the 10 life before or 100 life before or 2 life before. It may vary from, it may come in different sequence. And Narada Muni also says in his instruction to Prachina Barishar, sometimes we suddenly experience forms or other phenomena that we have never known in this life. We have never seen or heard in this life, but we suddenly experience the dream. So these constructs arise out of the subtle body or the psyche, for there is no possibility of mental imaging without the prior act of perception. So those things we have experienced in some of the previous life, and those things come suddenly in this life. So therefore, what is the purpose of the whole discussion? The whole discussion is that this verse says that asat swarupam swapnabam. The material world is like a dream. So this dream, it does not mean that the material world is illusory. The material world is temporary. Dream is also a creation of the Lord. Dream is also a real thing only, but it is a temporary thing. And so therefore, this statement Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, Jagan Mithya, this Jagat is Mithya. When we say the Jagat is Mithya, the wrong understanding is that the material world is illusory. The material world is false. This is a wrong understanding of Jagat Mithya. But what is the right understanding of Jagat Mithya? The right understanding is that if you view the material world as independently of Brahman, that is what is Mithya. To view that the material world is independent of the Bhagavan, that is what is called as Mithya. That is what is illusion. So the material world is real, but so because it's the product of the Lord's inferior potency. But without the, if you view the material world as independent of the Lord, or without the existence of the Lord, the material world will have no meaning. Like a horns of a rabbit. Horns of a rabbit is something illusory. It does not exist only. So similarly, the material world without the foundation of the Lord, that is something like a horns of a rabbit. So in the Alankara Kaustuba, Kavi Karnapur, he gives an example of a, say, meaningless statement. What is the example he gives? Kurma Loma Patachanna Shashashringa Danurdaraha Yesha Bandhya Suto Bhatika Pushpakrita Shekaraha. What is the meaning? The son of a barren woman appears so beautiful with a chaplet of Akasha Pushpa on his head, holding a bow made of the rabbit horns and attired in garments made from the hair of a tortoise. So can you make sense of this sentence? The first is son of a barren woman. This itself is a meaningless statement, son of a barren woman. And second, the son of a barren woman appears so beautiful with a chaplet of Akasha Pushpa, flowers growing in the Akasha. Again, this is a meaningless thing. He is having this Akasha Pushpa on his head. And he is holding a bow made of the rabbit horns. 1 minute. Rabbit horns, that is also meaningless. And attired in garments made from the hair of a tortoise. Does the tortoise have a hair? No way, actually. So this is an example of a meaningless statement. So similarly, when we say Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, when we say Jagan Mithya, what is the right understanding of this? To think that the material world is independent of Bhagavan. That is what is actually Mithya. That is what is meaningless. That is what is like the horns of a rabbit or Akasha Pushpa. But the material world is real because it is a creation of the Lord. It is a creation of the Lord's inferior potency. And when we say material world is like a dream, and the dream, according to Vedanta Sutra and the Kena Upanishad verse, Vedanta Sutra is also a dream is also a creation of the Supreme Lord. Because it's the creation of the Lord, it has to be real. And we also saw other reasonings that dream gives actually indication of the impending events or the events which are going to come. So therefore, the dreams are also real. And then we also saw another reasoning. The dream, in a dream, a person experiences one's mental karma, either positive mental karma or negative mental karma. So the mental karma is experienced both during the waking state as well as in the dream state. So therefore, this is the explanation which is given for Asat Swarupam Swapnabam. So does anybody have any doubts, any questions on this?
Prabhuji, yeah, some local understanding, local people's understanding of dream. Sometimes they say that what you dream in the morning hours, or maybe in the wee hours, early morning, say about after 4 o'clock or something, that is not uh, substantial. And when you the because that doesn't come true because you are not in full wakeful state or full sleeping state. The dream state in the morning, that is after 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, that's a very shallow state. Whereas the dream, which is in the deep state, is a very powerful one, and you are more active into it. So, does it fall in this uh, uh, phenomenon what you have given?
No, no. Deep sleep, there is no dream only. There are only three states: Jagrati, Swapna, and Sushupti. Sushupti is a deep sleep. Deep sleep is a state where there is no dream only. And Swapna is a state of dreams. It may appear the early morning or in the midnight, whichever time, but it is a state of dream. So, Jagruti means what? Jagruti means our karmendriyas are active, jnanendriyas are active, and the mind is in contact with the karmendriyas and jnanendriyas. That is Jagrati, waking state. Dream state means karmendriyas are inactive, and the jnanendriyas are also inactive, but the mind is active. Mind is active. So, Atma is in touch with the mind. Atma is in touch with the mind. So, but mind is not in touch with the karmendriyas and jnanendriyas. So, karmendriyas and jnanendriyas in the dream state, they are inactive, but Atma is in touch with the mind, and a person experiences the different impressions stored in the mind. That is the dream state. Waking up state, Atma is in touch with the mind, and the mind is in touch with the different senses, karmendriyas and jnanendriyas. And Sushupti, deep sleep, is that even the mind becomes inactive. Atma is not in touch with the mind also. Atma is just all alone. So that is actually deep sleep. So in the deep sleep, a person experiences, a person gets a glimpse of Brahmananda, and therefore he becomes refreshed. To the extent we experience a deep sleep, to that extent we become refreshed. Even if it is a short time of deep sleep, Yoga Nidra, in the Yoga Nidra, the Yogasanas, Yoga Nidra, basically they try to make a person experience deep sleep because that will refresh a person, even it is for a short time. So, and then in order to experience that Brahmananda, the spiritual happiness continuously, one has to go to the state of Samadhi, which is called as a Turiya state. And that comes when a person becomes a liberated platform, when the soul is in contact with the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna. So, this is the 41st Anucheda. Maybe I'll just begin the 42nd Anucheda, and then we'll go through it next week. Another 5 minutes, till 9:20 we'll go. 42nd Anucheda. Tadittam madhyama akara eva sarva adaratvad vibhutvam saditam. So in this way, it has been established that madhyama akara, the Lord's medium-sized body, is the all-pervading. By showing that how it is the support of everything. Sarva adaratva. Sarva gatattvadapi sadhyate. So now the all-pervading feature will now be demonstrated by exhibiting its quality of being present everywhere. Sarva gatatvad. How the Lord's form is all-pervading, that is going to be shown by showing that how it is present everywhere. Sarva gatatvad. So for that he quotes a shloka from 10th canto 69th chapter. So here Narada Muni goes to the palaces. Narada Muni goes to Dwaraka. He goes to the palaces of different palaces of Krishna. And then he sees Krishna in different palaces. Krishna along with his different queens. And then after seeing them, Narada Muni speaks this verse. Chitram bataita dekena vapusha yuga patprutak griheshu jvashta sahasram striya eka budavahat. So Chitram, Narada Muni is astonished. Narada Muni thought, oh, it is amazing that Krishna has alone, ekena vapusha, alone in a single body, he's been able to separately marry Pruthak 16,000 wives, each in their individual palaces, Pruthak griheshu, and also simultaneously, and to do so simultaneously. So by seeing that, Narada Muni is astonished. So whenever the word bata comes, bata means a sense of astonishment. Aho bata shvapachato gariyan. So Chitram bata, oh, it is amazing. So etad bata aho Chitram. So Narada thought that, oh, it is amazing. How incredible indeed. Kim tad, what is so amazing? Tatra aha griheshu iti tad sangyeshu sarveshu iti sheshaha. What is amazing is that one Krishna, Kim tat eka eva Shri Krishno dvai ashta sahasram strir yadudavahat parinitavan. Eka eva Shri Krishno, one Krishna has been able to wed 16,000. Dvi ashta sahasram. One Krishna has been able to marry 16,000 wives. Nanu kimatra ashcharyam. What is so amazing about it? In response, answer is given. Tatra aha griheshu iti tat sankyeshu sarveshu iti shesha. Krishna did so in their individual palaces. That is to say, in every single palace, for as many palaces as there were wives. That means 16,000 palaces were there. Every one single palace for every wife. Bhavatu tatopi kim. Then that's it. Then that's all. Is there anything more? Because sometimes a person, because of great mystic power, it's possible to have different palaces for different queens, like Shaubari Muni had. So then what is so amazing about Krishna? Bhavata tatopi kim. That's it then. That is the best he could do. That means, like, is it because of that you are amazing? That's the best thing he could do, that he could create 16,000 palaces, separate palaces for the 16,000 queens. Tatra aha prutak prutageva stitva panigrahanadi vivaha vidim kritavan. So Krishna married each and every queen separately. Prutak prutageva stitva. He underwent the wedding ceremony while being present separately in each of these houses. So then again a question is asked. Nanu kramasha udvahe na asambhavametat. But is it not possible that he underwent all these wedding ceremonies one after the other? Maybe he might have married one wedding ceremony after another. So then that's not so much astonishing. So then in answer it is said, tatraha yugapaditi. No, he married all of them simultaneously. He did so simultaneously. And then again he asked a question. Nanu yogeshwaropi yugapan nana vapumshi vidaya tad vidatum shaknoti. So in this world there are many mystic yogis. They also expanded into many forms and married different wives simultaneously. Like Shaubari Muni married 50 daughters of Mandata simultaneously. And so therefore, couldn't any master of yogic perfection or mystic siddhi do the same thing by manifesting various forms simultaneously? So many yogis can do that. So what is so special about Krishna? So why do you, whose lotus feet are worshipped by these Yogeshwaras, find it so extraordinary? So many of the yogis, they are also able to do simultaneously. They are also able to marry different wives simultaneously by the yogic siddhis. And Krishna is the master of the yogis. Therefore, he has also done that. So what is so astonishing about it? So Narada answers, Ekena vapusha iti. Ekena vapusheti. He did all these things in a single body. He did all these things in a single body. So, and then, so here, I'll just go through this conversation from the purport. So the first doubt is, why was Narada astonished? The answer is, Krishna married 16,000 wives. And the second doubt is, what is so surprising about that? Many kings throughout history, they have had hundreds and thousands of wives. Then answer is given. But the Krishna's queens were in 16,000 separate palaces. Then again a question is asked. So what is so wonderful about that? He was a king, Krishna was a king possessing great riches. So therefore he was able to afford a palace for each of his queens. So what is so astonishing about it? Then the answer is given. He married them with individual wedding ceremonies in each of these 16,000 palaces. And the doubt is asked, that can also be managed by going from one palace to another palace. So what is so amazing about it? That he married in individual wedding ceremonies. And then answer is given. No, he did it precisely at the same moment. All the 16,000 marriages at the same auspicious muhurta. Because when Krishna, after killing Narakasur, when he brought those 16,000 queens, he asked what is the right muhurta to get married. They told that the next muhurta is the best muhurta to get married. And Krishna did not want to lose that muhurta. Therefore, he simultaneously married at the same moment. So then again the doubt is asked. So Krishna is the Yogeshwara, the master of the yogic power. And many accomplished yogis, they expand into many bodies, which are called as Kaya Vyuha. And then they were also like Shaubari Muni expanded into 50 Kaya Vyuhas and he married 50 queens simultaneously. So because Krishna is the master of the yogis, he could have also expanded into 16,000 such Kaya Vyuhas to participate in these 16,000 marriages. Then the answer, so what is so astonishing about it? The answer is that no, Krishna did not expand into many different bodies. Rather, Krishna married all of them simultaneously in one body. This is what astonished Narada Muni. This is what astonished Narada Muni. So then the doubt, again a doubt is asked. So Krishna could have produced 32,000 hands like in the Virata Rupa. And he accepted 16,000 wives in 16,000 houses simultaneously. Krishna might have done like that. Again, the answer is that no. Krishna had a suitable form for each woman, and yet these were all one and the same form. Krishna did not manifest a Virata form. Krishna had a suitable form for each woman, and all these were one and the same form. And this is confirmed by the statements of Shukdev Goswami, which we'll read in the next class. We will read how Krishna had a suitable form for each woman, and yet these were all one and the same form. We will see that in the next class. Two more quotations are there. And then, so here, this particular verse from the 10th canto, 69th chapter, shows that how Krishna did not expand into different forms. Many yogis can also accomplish that. Many yogis can also expand into different Kaya Vyuha forms and simultaneously get married to many women. But rather, this Krishna, there's a difference over here, because Narada Muni himself has many yogic powers. So he would not have been astonished to see that Krishna expanded into many forms. That is not the reason for Narada Muni's astonishment. The reason for Narada Muni's astonishment was that Krishna, in the same form, he simultaneously married all of them in one body. He did not expand into many different bodies called as Kaya Vyuha. Rather, he married them all simultaneously in one body. And this is called as the Prakasha manifestation of Krishna. What is this Prakasha manifestation? How it is different from the different Kaya Vyuha expansions of the yogis? We will see in the next class. And what is the definition of the Prakasha manifestation? We will also see in the next class. Anybody has any questions? Anything which is unclear?
Yeah, no, conclusion. I think some points are many here.
These are beautiful shlokas. Jiva Goswami is just he's taking out different shlokas from different sections in the Bhagavatam, and he's bringing out such fine meanings. When we think about them and we imagine, we'll be astonished. Because usually we will be astonished to see something which we don't possess. So Narada Muni himself, he has great mystic powers. He would not be astonished to see somebody expand into the different Kaya Vyuha forms and simultaneously do an activity like getting married or any other activity. For Narada Muni himself had such power. So Narada Muni would not have been astonished by that. So what astonished Narada Muni? What astonished Narada Muni is that is why the Narada Muni himself is saying in the verse, Chitram Batedat Yekena Vapusha. This word is important. Yekena Vapusha. That in a single body, not by expanding, in a single body, Krishna has been able to separately marry 16,000 queens simultaneously. This is not possible for any of the yogis. In a single body, he married 16,000 wives and simultaneously. This is something called as a Prakasha manifestation of Krishna. So, otherwise, Narada Muni would not have been astonished to see yogis expanding into different forms and getting married. This is something unique in Krishna. And we'll see some more details in the next class. And then we'll go to the next anuccheda also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Wonderful class.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patient attention. We'll stop here.